Welcome to another episode of Animator Interviews. My name is Evan Vernon. I'm a contributor at Animation for Adults, as well as Animation Nights New York, also known as ANNY. For those new to ANNY, we are a monthly screening event and yearly festival that celebrates the very best in animation talent. Our artists come from all across the globe, and many have had their work featured at Cannes, Annecy, and other prominent festivals. We receive thousands of submissions each year, and each year we screen just 20 at our annual Best of Fest. Today we're discussing one of those 20. Nelly Michenaud is with me now. Nelly is a French artist who studied animation at the National Film and Television School and currently resides in London. Nelly's thesis film, Almost There, was chosen by our jury as a Best of Fest winner film. Set in a British train, the film follows a colorful group of passengers as they await their destination, trying their best to bear the noise, quirks, and flaws of the people around them. Their only problem? The train is on a looped track, with no beginning or end to the trip in sight. Delightfully odd and filmed with a unique blend of 2D and stop-motion techniques, Almost There is a worthy watch for any animation fan. Today, Nelly has kindly set aside time to discuss this film in her artistic career. Today's interview is also public and open to audience questions. We will address all of those as they come in. Nelly, thanks for being here. I'll start with the same question we ask all our guests. What got you into animation?
So I did a BA in fine art, actually. I've always drawn since I was a little kid, but I did fine art, and it was during that course that I found out about animation, because I had no idea how to use a camera, but I knew how to draw. So I started to make animation and then put them in installations and so on, and because that's what I loved about animation, the fact that I could do anything I wanted. I didn't have to rely on reality at all. And then I fell in love with the process. So I looked into studies that was going towards that. And then I did a character animation course, so more based on learning the principle of animation and so on. And then I went to the NFTS, where I did the directing animation course. And that's where I did my grad film, Almost There.
And for those who aren't familiar with NFTS, the National Film and Television School is a very competitive and prestigious institution for animators as well as filmmakers just outside of London in the UK, where Nelly is currently based. So thank you, Nelly, for giving us some background there. Let's go ahead and talk about the film, Almost There. Very quirky, very delightful film. It made me smile watching it, and I'm sure that a lot of our listeners feel the same. But where did this project come from? What inspired it?
So the main thing was the starting point is from the myth of Sisyphus. I don't know if you're familiar with that myth. It's the guy that's pushing the rock
Yes.
the top of the mountain and eternally comes back. And basically, there's a French philosopher that took that myth to talk about the absurdity of life and how to come to terms with it. So I was always curious about this concept, and I was wondering if it was possible to put that in a film where this myth would not, and this philosophy would not be explained like straight away, but if we could feel at least that these people are trapped in their little loops of life, in this train that is going on a loop that has no destination and so on, because that's not the point. So it started like this, and then the train became the metaphor for life, where there's no real point to it. And how do we accept this? How do we struggle with it? How do we come to terms? That was the main idea.
Go ahead, Nelly. Sorry.
No.
No, that's really interesting that you were inspired by the myth of Sisyphus. It's generally considered kind of a tragic story, this idea of someone being damned to perpetually roll this rock up the hill, and then it comes down and he has to do it for eternity. But the film, Almost There, tonally almost seems kind of positive. You know, there's this frustration that the passengers feel as they deal with all of their idiosyncrasies and, disruptions that other people are causing. And they're about ready to lose their minds. But there's this a moment of kind of reconciliation at the end when they all become a family in a sense, I guess. Could you tell us a bit about that? Would you agree that the message is I guess kind of optimistic at the end?
Which is what the interpretation of Albert Camus on that myth is that we should imagine Sisyphus happy as someone that accepted this absurd condition of having this nonsense of a life having no answer to it. At least if you don't believe in life after death or any other religious belief, but if there's no religious belief to base yourself upon, then you're a bit lost. There's no meaning to why we're here and so on.
Yeah.
So all of this myth is about how do we come to terms with this and we accept our absurdity by being absurd ourselves. And there's a beauty in realizing that no matter where you're from, and you do belong to that same condition. And that's why I wanted that family thing at the end. Where,
Yeah. It's a lesson in gratitude, I guess. While we're still on the topic of this film, Nelly, could you tell us a bit about the characters in this story? They're all extremely colorful and quirky and unique in their own way. Were they inspired by people you observed or knew possibly, or maybe?
I think there's a bit of I think we've all done that, picking through seats in the train, looking at people, observing a bit, so it came from that. And then coming up with the characters, it was a work I did with one of the writers at the school, where we both. I just told him to go through his notebooks and look at quirky characters he had, and maybe trying to imagine what could be their problem. And we had a guy that was acting like there was a cuckoo that was going in people's mouth and then taking over their life. And then so we wanted to explore some sort of love relationship, how that worked with that cuckoo in the game, or someone a bit OCD, is never the right seat. Like the grass is always greener, type of character is never the right seat in the train, always changing, so trying to have kind of daily life problems. But
we've got a couple of questions, I think, here in the chat. We'll start with Jackson just a second, but while we're on the topic of personalities or characters in general, tell us a bit about this visual style you engineered, Nelly, this kind of hybridized stop motion 2D look. You don't see animators do that a lot. And I think that'll feed into Jack's question here in just a moment.
So I wanted to work with both. I've always wanted to try with both of them because at the NFTS I've discovered the stop motion. Mm-hmm. And I really love the grounded textural aspect to it. I've always drawn, so I really wanted to see how this technique could work without being a battle of two animated techniques, So how could they work together? How could they complement one another and really feel like they belong to the same world? And I think for the film, then it was a really good technique. It was fitting with the story because the story had this more philosophical, airy, and floaty type of vibe, which could be done with the 2D. While this philosophy is printed into a grounded reality that we're going through, So then the stop motion was also there to implement that, So.
You made a very interesting comment about the realism that's kind of tethered to stop motion animation and how that, is tied to the real world message of the film, like you just said. Very insightful, Nelly. Thank you. Jack has a question here on the topic of animation or character design. He says you did such a great job doing the 2D animation over the puppets. Apart from the bird, who was entirely 2D, I noticed the baby was 2, except for the diaper. Did it have an entire armature like the rest of the characters?
Yeah, it did actually, but not the entire one. But there was an armature, a really large hips because she was a big baby. Which at some point when we first put it on the set, we're like, oh my god, it doesn't fit through the chairs. The corridor was too narrow, which then added a bit of comedy because the baby had to walk a bit on the like a crab on its side. But yeah, it did have an armchair. Yeah.
Yeah. The baby was probably one of the well, they were all very entertaining characters, but it was he in particular was very funny to watch, just growing from a tiny little infant into this almost caricature of how the other passengers may have seen him, like, oh, he's so loud, you know, and the like size kind of reflected that. But yeah. Thank you for sharing, Nelly. A question from Danny here. Excuse me, Danny. Danny says, how did you know the bathroom waiting dance and the way, and the polite mannerisms of some of the characters? Very on point. This might be a reference to, go ahead, Nelly.
So I live in the UK and British people are very polite. Mm-hmm. And that is definitely from experience where you can find yourself in situations where both people want to go through the same door. And then you end up spending more time being like, oh no, after you, no, after you. Yeah. And that's real life experience of the British, really who make me laugh a lot. So yeah, I wanted to put that on the film.
Yeah, that kind of goes back to, we got another one here. But yeah, thank you for sharing. If anyone's ever been to London, anyone watching it will find that funny, but that interaction is definitely on point. The British in particular are extremely polite people. Yeah. Another question here. Who was your favorite character to animate from the cast?
I think the babies are always, it's always fun. It's always fun to draw because of all the rounded lines and so on. Yeah. I guess what was most interesting to animate was maybe the neck. Mm-hmm. That was quite challenging because I was learning as I was going as well. On some animation, so yeah, there's some bits I would love to be able to redo, of course, like any animators would, I think. The cuckoo as well. That was interesting. Also because there was a lot of imagination that had to be done between the stop motion part and the 2D. But yeah, I think these ones, yeah.
You mentioned the stretching head of the girl who's kind of the main character, grounding us to the narrative. She plays the role of the observer, it looks like, who's just taking it all in and watching these people. I'm taking a bit of a leap, but that seems to be the role that you, as the director, are playing, talking about how other people behave in the real world. Is this character you? Or a reflection of you, maybe?
My sound designer did say that to me. Mm-hmm. Well, I think every director puts themselves in some way or another, and I think there's a bit of all of us in every character. Definitely, this one would be the closest to what a director has to do. Yeah. But then her point is that she loves to observe and feels very comfortable with doing this, and then really struggles when it comes to the time where she has to actually take part in this life and not just looking at it from afar, and where it feels more safe. She needs to embrace that too. So,
yeah. Well said, Nelly. The fact that she, along with many of the other characters, are able to come out of their shell and kind of surmount those social fears and the introversion that they feel, was really touching. Thank you so much for sharing. And thank you to everyone in the gallery for such amazing questions. I know we're getting close on time, so I've got one last question for you, Nelly. You're young. You recently finished your studies, I believe, at NFTS. What are you doing now? Tell us a bit about your current projects.
So I've been working freelance in London since I graduated. Mm-hmm. I think, like a lot of animators, the pandemic was great for us. We got a lot of jobs done at home, and I'm still pitching for short films to get fundings. But so it's busy life.
You're originally from France. Do you foresee yourself maybe doing some sort of British fringe collaboration in the future, if you can facilitate that? I don't know if you have feature. Yeah,
that would be ideal, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to see. It's a bit complicated with fundings and stuff since Brexit happened. I don't know how they work with this, so I need to make a bit more research on that. But yeah, ideally.
Well, I think it goes without saying that not only the Annie team, but just everyone who's attending the festival is very delighted to have you sharing this wonderful film with us. Yeah, we've got some more comments coming in. Jack says, thank you so much. All the best in your creative endeavors. Well said, Jack. I second that.
Thank you.
Yeah. It truly is a blessing to feature all these films here. And, Nelly, Almost There is no exception. So we wish you all of the best in the future. We hope to see you back at the festival again, if you're not too big next year. But thank you.
Well, I would love to make another film. Definitely, I'll send it to you guys for sure.
We hope that you do. But good luck to you, and I appreciate your time today. All best, Nelly.
Thank you very much.